All right,
Okay.
so what does green mean to you?
Yeah, what I said was that green changes depending on what environmental issues we're facing, and whereas maybe 10 years ago I was more focused on toxic chemicals and things that would affect human health very directly. Now I think that the top problem is more climate change. And so the first thing I think of when I think of like a green home, what people can do is a carbon footprint. And of course you can do little things like changing out the light bulbs. CFLs make a huge difference, and light emitting diodes are going to be the next thing, and they're going to even have just a fraction of the wattage of the other light bulbs. But I think it would be wonderful if we had more like homes going to being their own little energy power generating stations. And I have a friend, Dr. Chris Fletcher. She just got solar panels installed on her house, and they hope they may have a net zero on the energy they buy from ComEd. They can sell it back when they're generating more than they need. And we're looking at either possibly some solar, but maybe geothermal, and which can cut your footprint by like 60% or more. So that's a big one. But then, for greenhouses, I do think, what you use in your home, not using pesticides, using natural alternatives to pesticides, cleaning products, personal care products. We're exposed to so many chemicals. There's a CDC biomonitoring site. You can go and see the chemicals that all of us are exposed to every day, including like newborn babies. Environmental Working Group has this great video. It's called 10 Americans, and they talk about these 10 Americans, and that each one had over 100 different toxic chemicals in their system: carcinogens, mutagens, heavy metals, all these estrogenic chemicals, everything. And they said, well, these people weren't exposed to it in their job. It wasn't the food they ate. And the punchline is that it's cord blood. They're newborn babies. And so we are pre-poisoning our infants. And so I think, there's some things you can't control. We're exposed to air pollution every day. You have to breathe. You can't control that. But we can, as consumers, make a real significant impact by buying organic. They've shown, there's been a lot of evidence that you can immediately reduce your output of metabolites of these pesticides just by eating organic. And what you buy, what pesticides you use, and things like that. So that's a major area I think of. The other things you can do. There's a great book, No Impact Man. The author's a little annoying, but by the end you kind of like him. And they gave up in an apartment in New York. They gave up everything. They started with garbage, and they went to no garbage, which means you can't buy packaged food. Means you get like bags, and you go to the bulk food, and you put your flour in a bag, and you take it home, and you reuse it, and no disposables. Then they got rid of transportation. They went everywhere on bikes or by walking, and even with their little kid. And then they did electricity. Some of these things they found they were enjoying their lifestyle. They had more time. They didn't watch TV. But one thing they said is like giving up washing dirty diapers, not worth it. So there were some things that they wouldn't have traded off, but some things that they would. So you can think in terms of like not generating the trash. So have a compost pile. Don't use as much packaging. Try to buy less. We have such an impact just on the things we buy. There's another great thing on the internet, Story of Stuff, which is it talks about how every garbage can that we put by the curb, I think it's something like 70 garbage cans worth of waste were generated at the factory to make the stuff that we throw away. So not buying as much is really terrific. I was surprised some years ago to find out like the food we eat. I don't know did any of you read the Michael Pollan Omnivore's Dilemma? Mm-hmm. It's our campus book. You can still get free copies. And in that, he talks about how almost as much of our carbon footprint is generated by the food we eat as our own driving ourselves around. Because like if you have strawberries in winter, well, where does that come from? California or Chile or someplace very far away. So eating seasonally is very good. Growing your own vegetables, even a small amount, is excellent, or going to the farmer's market. And so you can reduce your own carbon footprint by 30-40% just by doing things like that, eating locally and organic.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know. The most interesting thing I'm doing for the planet next is I'm getting chickens. So yeah, in May, May 24th, I'm getting chickens, and I'm getting them partly for my garden because I need the manure. But then we're going to have our eggs, and the chickens are going to have a nice life too. So.
Awesome. Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.